We are living in an era of modern gaming defined by vast, open worlds, sprawling stories, and graphics that honestly blur the line between reality and a simulation. We have games that can go on for hundreds of hours with endless content and cinematic flair. But what if I told you the absolute pinnacle of adventure game design, the perfect formula, was actually achieved over 3 decades ago on a 16-bit console? The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past isn't just some classic game collecting digital dust on a shelf. It's a masterclass in building a world, designing puzzles, and delivering pure, unfiltered adventure. It's a game that so completely defined its genre that you can still feel its DNA in almost every adventure game that came after it. This was my first Zelda, and man, it sparked a lifetime love for the series. I remember being a kid, sitting cross-legged in front of the TV, just blown away by the music, the colors, and the sense of adventure. Those were simpler times. In the huge, sometimes confusing timeline of the Zelda series, with its 3D evolutions in open-world epics, A Link to the Past still feels like the undisputed king. And today, we're going to break down exactly why. To really get to the genius of A Link to the Past, you have to remember what came before. The original Legend of Zelda on the NES was a revolution, yeah, but it was also a cryptic, sprawling world that demanded your curiosity without giving you much back. It was pure exploration. Its sequel, The Adventure of Link, was a bold experiment, for sure, but also a divisive one, shifting to a side-scrolling view with RPG mechanics. Both were foundational, but they were, let's say, unrefined. Then, in 1991, A Link to the Past shows up. It didn't just tweak the formula, it perfected it. This became the blueprint for what would define the series for the next 20 years. It went back to the top-down view of the first game, but pumped it full of depth and polish you couldn't imagine on the NES. This was the game that gave us so many of the series' most iconic staples. The Master Sword as a core part of the plot, Kakariko Village, the Sages, a story that you could actually follow, and the foundational music themes that Koji Kondo created that are still used today. The opening at Hyrule Castle, rain pouring, sneaking in to rescue Zelda, my lord, what an intro. It locked in the core gameplay loop that many fans still think of as the traditional Zelda. Explore an overworld, beat a few themed dungeons to get pendants, grab the Master Sword, and then take on a second, tougher set of dungeons to finally beat Ganon. This structure gave you a perfect sense of moving forward. The game subtly guides you, leaving a breadcrumb trail of new items and places without ever grabbing your hand and pulling you along. It respected your intelligence, finding that perfect sweet spot between freedom and a clear ultimate goal. The Hyrule in A Link to the Past isn't just a background for your adventure. It is the adventure. The world itself is the most brilliantly designed puzzle in the whole game. Every single screen feels dense and handcrafted, just packed with secrets begging for you to find them. Bombable walls, hidden caves, that one suspicious-looking tree, the game teaches you to look at its world not as a static background, but as a giant, interactive machine. And then, it doubles everything. The introduction of the Dark World is without a doubt the game's most important innovation and its most lasting legacy. This isn't just a lazy palette swap or a second map. It's a corrupted, twisted mirror of the Light World, a parallel dimension where places you know are warped into something menacing and new. The peaceful Kakariko Village becomes the broken-down Village of the Outcasts. The Great Swamp is a murky, monster-filled bog. The real genius is how the two worlds play off of each other. A path that's blocked in the Light World might be wide open in the Dark World. A cliff you can't climb in one reality might have a warp tile that zaps you to its peak in the other. The tool that makes it all possible, the magic mirror, is a stroke of pure brilliance. It lets you create a temporary portal back to the Light World, literally turning the fabric of reality into a puzzle-solving tool. I'll never forget the first time I warped from a desolate peak on Death Mountain, landed back in the Light World, and found myself on a ledge I could have never reached otherwise. It was a eureka moment, realizing the map wasn't two separate places, but one massive, interconnected puzzle. While the world design is a masterpiece on a grand scale, the moment-to-moment gameplay is just as polished. A Link to the Past found the perfect sweet spot between fighting and puzzles, and often blended them together. The first game's combat was basic, and the sequel's was a huge departure. Here Nintendo found the magic. Movement is fluid, now with diagonal motion, and the combat is simple but so satisfying. The spin attack was a game changer. This simple, chargeable move added a whole layer of strategy, giving you both a powerful attack and a crucial defensive move to clear out some space. But the real depth of the gameplay comes from its incredible arsenal of items. Look, any game where you can upgrade your weapons, boom, I instantly love it. And the sword progression in this game is peak satisfaction. You start with your uncle's simple fighting sword, but the journey to get the legendary Master Sword and then temper it all the way to the mighty Golden Sword is a huge part of the adventure. Each upgrade feels earned and makes you feel powerful enough to face down bigger threats. My God, finally getting the Golden Sword and just slicing through enemies that used to give you headaches is an unreal feeling of power. Beyond the sword, the inventory is a Swiss Army knife of puzzle-solving gear, and crucially, these items are rarely just single-use keys. The hookshot isn't just for crossing gaps, you can use it to stun enemies and grab items. The fire rod is a strong weapon, but you also need it to light torches that are far away. The Pegasus boots let you charge through enemies, but their main job is to smash open new paths and find secrets. This design, where items have multiple uses across exploring, fighting, and puzzle solving, creates a gameplay loop that feels whole and deeply rewarding. If Hyrule is the grand puzzle box, then the dungeons are its intricate, self-contained clockwork. A Link to the Past has 12 dungeons, and every single one is a lesson in pacing, theme, and design. They aren't just labyrinths, they're carefully crafted challenges that build on each other, introducing new ideas and testing your growing collection of tools. The progression is flawless. The Eastern Palace is the perfect introduction, teaching you the basics in a low-stakes setting. From there, the complexity just ramps up beautifully. The Desert Palace makes you use the Book of Majora to move the entrance itself. The Swamp Palace brings in water-level puzzles where you have to flood and drain rooms to get through. And the Ice Palace, oh man, the Ice Palace, is a symphony of frustration and triumph, a slippery maze where you have to use the fire rod, not just to fight, but to melt ice and forge new paths. It's a classic. The music in every dungeon is incredible, with Koji Kondo's scores perfectly setting the mood. The ominous tones of the Tower of Hera, the chilling melody of the Ice Palace, the triumphant march of Ganon's Tower. These themes are just as iconic as the dungeons themselves. And then there are the bosses. Each boss fight is a final exam, testing the skills in the specific item you acquired in that dungeon. You don't just brute force your way through, you have to solve a combat puzzle. Whether you're using the magic hammer to break the mask off of the Helmasaur King, or using the hookshot to rip the small Argy off of Argus in the Swamp Palace, or playing the legendary game of Energy Ball Tennis against the wizard Aghanim, each fight is memorable and a perfect end to the dungeon before it. And the final boss, Ganon. Man, was he tough. I remember dying a lot as a kid and then finally beating him. This is probably only the third or fourth game I ever finished as a kid, so I was super proud of that accomplishment. Decades have passed and the Zelda series has evolved in some incredible ways. I still remember the first time I saw Ocarina of Time. I saw it at a friend's house. They were playing and riding Epona across Hyrule Field that felt impossibly huge, all rendered in stunning 3D. It was mind-blowing. An experience that felt truly next-gen, especially before social media could spoil every little surprise. More recently, games like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom have totally deconstructed the Zelda formula, offering a level of freedom in emergent gameplay that is a masterpiece in its own right. I've sunk many hours into those games. And yet, you can make a powerful argument that A Link to the Past is still the most perfectly balanced Zelda experience. It strikes an equilibrium that later games, for all of their amazing innovations, never quite managed to hit again. It has the open-ended discovery of the original game, but with just enough story to give your journey weight and purpose. The story itself is epic, establishing the lore of the sages and Ganon's backstory, but it never gets bogged down in long cutscenes. It gives you just enough narrative to feel like you're part of a grand adventure, not just watching one. It's the absolute peak of 2D adventure game design, a title so well made it felt timeless. It has remained incredibly popular, selling around 7.43 million copies worldwide as of 2025. Its vibrant 16-bit art style has aged way more gracefully than the early polygons of the 3D era, keeping a clean, readable, and totally charming look. Its influence is undeniable, not just in Zelda, but across the entire gaming world. Countless indie and action-adventure games today still pull inspiration from its world design, its item-based progression, and its perfectly balanced blend of combat, exploration, and puzzles. Modern games have given us bigger worlds, but are they better worlds? They've given us more complex stories, but are they better adventures? A Link to the Past makes a very strong case that the answer to both of these is no. It is a game built on the foundation of flawless design where every single piece works in perfect harmony. The world is a puzzle, the items are the keys, and the dungeons are the ultimate test. It doesn't need 100 hours of content or photorealistic graphics. It achieves more with its dense, secret-packed Hyrule than many modern games do with entire continents of procedurally generated space. It's a game that respects your time, rewards your curiosity, and delivers a pure, concentrated shot of adventure that is just as powerful today as it was in 1991. Man, those were simpler times, but the magic is definitely still there. A Link to the Past isn't just a great Zelda game. It's not just a classic. It's a timeless piece that represents the absolute peak of its form. It is and always will be the definitive Legend of Zelda. If you enjoyed this deep dive into a 16-bit classic, do me a favor and like the video and subscribe for more retro gaming analysis. More importantly, I want to hear from you. Head down to the comments and let me know. What do you think is the best Zelda game and why? Let's get the debate going. Thanks for watching.